Hi folks, how you doing? Next video. Whilst I've got some space in my diary, I'm doing quite a few videos this afternoon to get ahead with content. I tend to now pre-film rather than film on the day and post. Anyway, illness and disease. I just looked at that title and I was like, what are you doing, Claire? Because that is not a simple 15-minute, 20-minute video, is it? I'm going to try and make it simple. This comes off the back of a comment I had where one of you said, somebody you knew who was doing shamanic healing says that, was it ADHD or something, or Asperger's was the result of soul contract and got really uppity with you. I think that's what you said. And could you do a video on it? I was like, oh yeah, I can do a video on that because I've got a list of videos I'm putting together. So this is it. Illness and disease. There is always more than one reason why we get an illness or disease. I always get a bit when people try and say it's that reason, that's why you've got that disease, because there are many, many reasons and it's a vast subject. And be wary of healers that want to pinpoint where you've got it, because it's vast. It's vast. Diet plays a role. Our mindset plays a role. Our surroundings play a role. Our stress levels and how we deal with stress plays a role. The trauma that we go through plays a role. How we cleanse and release trauma from the body. We can have entity interference, which can cause disease. Entity are external beings that can attach to the body and energy field. We can have curses that cause illnesses. There can be generational trauma, which can cause illnesses. There can also be soul contract, where somebody chooses to experience an illness in order for teaching. Because actually, illness, disease and pain can actually be a real sacred moment when you want it to be, of teaching. Who's ever injured or broken a bone or sprained something and not been able to wash themselves or toilet themselves or walk, and really understood the preciousness of having hands that can screw a jar lid off, or having hands that can wash yourself in the shower, or having legs that can walk and pick the post up, and actually experiencing something that actually stops that can actually bring you back to basics. So there is never just one cause. There is never just one cause. And there can be all of those subjects playing together. Past lives can be a reason why we have illness. It's all down to the individual and what is going on in their energy field. I'll try and briefly cover some of those titles that I've said, because it's vast. It really is a vast subject. So the foods, the toxins in foods, the allergies in foods, how our body processes food. Are we just always eating processed food? Are we eating too much sugar, too much fat? Is our food becoming energetic contaminated? Are we eating in places that are energetically contaminated? So for example, when somebody else makes my food, I bless the food. I'll just look at it and just, if you see me blowing a salad and think, what is she doing? She's blowing a salad. I'm blowing symbols into the food. Sometimes you can just look at the food, you can put the chakra, different symbols. That's something that you go away and look at. You can put the Metatron's cube through your food. Again, go look at what the Metatron's cube is. You can put white light through your food, because when people are angry, they put that energy in your food. I remember once making a cake, and it was a day I was fuming. And I'm a good baker. I am a good baker, right? Really good talent at baking. And this day, the mixture went rank. I have never experienced anything like it. And I went, oh. And I actually stopped and I went, what the hell's happened? And my guide said, you're too angry. And the baking had absorbed my anger. Now, if it hadn't have sent it funny and I'd have served that cake, people would have started with tummy ache with that cake. Stress. So how does stress cause pain and disease? Of course it does. Of course it does. Excuse me. Stress, trauma, disease can become a cancer in the body, and it can become, it holds in the body, it holds in the cells, in the bones, in the muscles, which is why when you're going through a really stressful time, you can be stiff and you ill and you get colds and coughs, because stress also and trauma brings down the immunity field. So again, you've got the immunity field coming down. So if you live a constantly stressful life and there's always something going on, your body's going to react to that. Your body's going to react to that. I want to touch on these subjects very briefly. Mindset. I've said this before. My heart attack, my stroke, my cold. Oh my God. When I learned this, it was a game changer. Whatever illness you've got, please do not say my. Because the minute you say my ADHD, my Asperger's, my depression, my anxiety, you own it and you make it yours. So when we get something like that, this isn't about just pushing it out and pretending it's not there, but it's also about not owning it and embodying it. I'm like this because of my anxiety. I'm like this because of my depression. And the more that you go into that, the more that you add it. Been there, done that, you make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And actually what happens is people get fed up and they step back from you because it's like, oh God, not again. So then you become more isolated, more stressed, more traumatic, and the body feels that. And a brilliant meditation technique to do is this. Every cell in my body is well. Every cell in my body is well. Every cell in my body is well. Every bone in my body is well. Every bone in my body is well. My blood is well. My blood is well. My blood is well. My skin is well. Even if you're not. You know, when I got a certain controversial, when I got COVID, that's what I did. I remember sat and feeling my chest start to go really funny with that virus. And I actually sat there with my hand on my chest. I could feel it was starting to go a little bit dodgy for me. And I just sat with my hand on my chest and I went, no, no. Every cell in my body is well. And I did that and I did that and did that and I did that and I did that. And actually I went from thinking, shit, am I going to be one of these people that end up in hospital to out of it? Now people can say, well, that's just your immunity. But I just felt that moment was quite sacred. And I've done that since with other things. And it does work. And the more that you practice that, the better you get at it. And the more quicker you can move through things. Our body is water, so it absorbs everything we say. So if we treat it as poorly and battered, it will act like that, it will react like that. So being careful how you speak about it, being careful about what labels you put on yourself as well. Have I got ADHD or am I just a bit scattered at the minute? Because we live in a world now where it seems to be becoming more and more popular to put labels on ourselves. And actually that's just really putting you in a box energetically. How can entities cause disease? So entities can be demonic, alien, dark galactic, reptilian. You've heard the names. There are actually millions and billions of these things. They're all different. They can be fae, they can be goblins, they can be loved ones that have passed that reattach to the energy field. And because it's a foreign object and the energy field, your body starts to become unwell. So how would you start to become? This is why grief, when you're grieving someone, it needs to be dealt with properly and healthily. That's why things like having somebody's ashes in the house is a no-go area. Having somebody's ashes buried in the garden is a no-go area. Wearing jewellery with ashes in is a no-go area. Having clothes turned into cushions is a no-go area. Having any kind of thing like that is a no-go area. If you do get any rings or things inherited, I can very rarely wear mine. Very rarely. If I do the cleansed and cleansed and cleansed and cleansed and cleansed with white light, you can use crystals like selenite, Merkaba. Because with loved ones, what they'll do is they'll reattach in, especially if they're anchored. They're not doing it to hurt you. They're doing it because your loved one is upset, but it's a foreign energy. So what does the body do with foreign objects? It becomes ill. It tries to react to warn you that something foreign is there. So it makes you anxious. It makes you edgy. The amount of people that have got anxiety and depression and addiction because they've got a loved one attached into them is untrue. So that's how having a loved one attached into you can make you ill. You can also absorb their diseases. So say if they died of heart disease, because they're there, you're getting the heart disease. So if you start wearing their clothes as well, you can start bringing on the diseases as well. So what I call the entities, so your demons and etc. and reptilians. I mean, there's again a vast subject. They can intentionally give you illnesses. They attach to certain types of the body, and whatever area that they attach to can cause an illness. They can attach to the mind and cause depression. They can cause suicide. They can cause split personality energies. Vast. They can intentionally do this, or they can do it without even realising they're doing it, depending on what you've got, depending on your mindset as well. They cause addiction. So regularly making sure that any entities you get them cleared. And don't stress over getting entities, because actually they are a part of life, sadly. And when I first learned about entities, it's like that. You go into that and then you realise that's just disempowering. That if something comes in, just like when you get some dirt on your hand, you can wash it off. If you stay on top of your energetic cleaning, it's easier to get this stuff off. If you don't and you let it pile up, that's when it becomes a problem. Generational things, so generational curses on the bloodline that can cause illness. Generational illnesses. You know, I mean, how many times have you heard of illnesses hitting every member of the family? Not every member of the family, but every generation of the family. I remember being told that the reason why you're big, Claire, because I used to be a lot bigger, it's the genes, Claire, it's the genes, Claire. Not the genes, it's not the genes, it's the mindset of the family line. And what it does is it gets passed down. And it can be mindset, it can be habits, it can be curses on the bloodline. So knowing what's in your bloodline, knowing what curses are on the bloodline, what mindsets are on the bloodline, because addiction can also be an illness. So how is addiction repeating through the bloodline? Also as well, when you've got parents or grandparents that you're caring for, to not be too enabling, because what can then happen is when they pass, you can then get their illnesses, ailments, illnesses, etc., diseases. So being mindful when you're nursing and caring, that you're not absorbing people's pain, that when you're nursing, you're doing it with kindness and compassion, but it's like, no, the energy, the illness is not coming in, because you hear of so many carers and nurses of people that work on wards or family that become ill through absorbing illness. It's like if you work in a hospital a lot, it can make you ill, because like if I started talking about a cold, you'd start sneezing or coughing or honestly, if I came in and said to you, I've got a sickness bug, you would start to feel sick. And it's the same. So if you work in hospital areas, make sure you're smudging, you're saging, you're getting regular energy cleanses with healers. Don't know why people don't do it. I never did it. I didn't even know this existed. Like the same if you're a police officer as well, or a fire officer, getting regular cleansing. So your job can make you well. If you work in a really stressful job, if you live in a house that's haunted, can make you well. Drug and addiction can make you well. Soul contracts, where you choose to experience an illness. Yes, power loss and soul loss can cause and does cause illness. I've covered that in a lot of what I've said anyway. I'm trying to keep this as brief as I can. So rather than pinpointing one reason, there's always many different reasons, many different reasons. I struggle, I know people have said, can you come and talk about Asperger's? I struggle with that, because not one size fits all, and that's where you really can start offending and ruffling. If you're in a one-on-one healing session where your client's booked, then fair enough, but you'd be dealing with their stuff, their soul contracts, the curses, etc. So illness and disease is a great teacher, and sometimes your body just gets ill. Actually, illness and disease can also be a sign of purging things out. Illness and disease can actually come in also to tell us to stop, take note. You know, you can have a heart attack scare that gives you the warning that a change needs to come in your diet. So it's just vast. It's vast. But doing all that you can with yourself, looking after yourself as much as you can is the best way. And through diet, through movement, through mindset, through prayer and meditation, crystals, working with water. So you can get a bottle of water. I've always got this with me, filled up with water. You pour a glass of water, you look at the water and you go for immunity and you drink it. For health, drink it. I do that for protection sometimes. I'll look at some water, I'll pour some water and I'll say for protection. So it's about, again, using those internal gifts that we all have. I've just done a video where I spoke about the Merkaba. I'm not sure where it will come in as far as will it be live when this video goes, but Merkaba, working with your Merkaba when going through illness or disease. Teaching children this as well, about not going into poor me energy and superpower energy, etc. Does that make sense? It's a vast subject and I'm trying my best to hit it without making it too complex. Try not to look at illness and disease as punishment neither, as though you've done something wrong. Now, if you hadn't have eaten that extra cake, you wouldn't have got this. Honestly, I've got a book, I think it's called Metaphysical Anatomy, and I get it out for client sessions either during or after when I'm doing notes. And everything we've got there is a reason. There's a reason, be it relationship with your parents or relationship with your ex, which is why healing is vital for health. Healing. Getting cords cut, getting your energy field upgraded, getting your chakra system upgraded, going to energy healers regular, to not just do it once, but do it regular, and doing as much for yourself as you can. We wouldn't dream of neglecting ourselves and not going to the doctors, but we do. Keep up with your regular doctor tests as well, like your smears and things. Don't just think, so I'm on the spiritual path, that's it, I don't need to do anything like that. Yeah, I'm fingers crossed I'm coming out of a dodgy period with some smear results that started last year and it's still ongoing, level 1. Level 1, not panicking, but again, doing self-Reiki, keep on top of your smears and tests and blood tests and things, because don't rubbish the mainstream medical system, because it can actually be great to a great way of finding out just what you're dealing with, and it's better to catch things earlier than let them explode later down the line. So thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, there's a playlist called Shamanic Healing where there's a whole host of different videos. Thanks for watching, love to all, and take care, bye.